So, if you're new to me, I'm Marshall Bircher, and I help codependents rewire their nervous system, their mind, body, and identity for prosperity and healthy relationships, and for purpose that fulfills them. But in this, I'm doing this work with you, and I wanted to share today some of the work that's coming out of my own therapy. Because I come from a fearful avoidant attachment that tends to lean more on the avoidance side. And that is something that's been obviously a very painful thing for the people I've been in a relationship with and for myself. And getting deep into this has been a very fascinating, enlightening journey about how attachment systems are shaped, how they are actually reactions or expressions of the nervous system, and how it's the nervous system that determines your attachment reaction, and then that attachment response and attachment reaction is what shapes your attraction and relational systems. So, like what's appealing to us is attuned in the nervous system. What's repulsive to us is in the nervous system. This is why we can have a very big challenge choosing different people to have relationships with, because it's the nervous system is your picker. And, that's always fun. Especially if you deal with limerence, you deal with any form of trauma bonding or love addiction. In the past, your nervous system is wired for that seesaw of seduction, abuse, discard, and euphoria, distress, and despair. We're going to be doing a course on that here in late April, early May, too. But it's, in this journey of working with my fearful avoidant in the last week or so, all attachment orientations, all nervous system structures come from what I call a root conclusion. What on earth is a root conclusion? A root conclusion is this fixed emotional point of reference that says, I am, and then you fill in the blank. I'm inadequate. I'm unlovable. I'm discardable. I'm too much, I'm too little. It's always an I am statement. And this root conclusion shapes the way the nervous system responds to the external world. So if I come from a root conclusion of inadequacy, which is one of the three I deal with, the other one's defectiveness, which inadequacy and defectiveness are very much a little different, but the same. And then being discardable, because fearful avoidant always has the combination of the anxious preoccupied and the dismissive avoidant side. But some differences in there, but these root conclusions of I ams shape the way I perceive relationship, love, and all that. And that was, largely encoded into me by the way I was responded to in my own, early childhood. This is crucial for us to understand, my friends. We carry root conclusions that we made in early childhood to help us understand why certain things were happening and why certain things were not happening in relationships with our parents, with our peers, with our siblings. And this is why you can have a really secure experience with a particular kind of relationship style and not with another one. See this a lot with most of us have the really activated not secure attachment orientation in our romantic relationships, but we can have really strong, secure ones in our friendships. It's all that level of intimacy, the level of vulnerability that's there, that's driving that. So in these root conclusions that have been coming up for me, the one that's been really loud is inadequacy. I am inadequate. So I've been leaning into that. What I mean by leaning in is I'm feeling it. Letting myself explore the thoughts and feelings and sensations and predictions and reactions and anticipations I have about myself and about others through that lens. What this does is it helps me start to understand this aspect of myself. It starts to help me get connected to the internal parts of myself that live from this reality. And it helps me begin to get in touch more with the somatic reality of it. That's why my body shuts down. That's why I get anxious. That's why. And it's a slow process. none of this happens very quickly. This happens through the medium of time, based on how safe we feel, how much energy we have, what our environment is doing, those kind of things. So sometimes these things can leapfrog, sometimes they're going to be a snail. But in this exploration of this conclusion of I'm inadequate, came up this really somatic sense of heartbreak. And I know this heartbreak because I have felt it when I have been replaced in like romantic relationships. It's like, oh, they found someone new. They found someone better. They found someone more fit for them. And it would be this very, very specific sensation right in my chest. Now, those statements are still of the inadequacy point of view, but they're just expressions of the conclusion. So I'm not really concerned about those, but I am very interested in that sensation. So I leaned into that heartbreak sensation that was there. And this clarity came to me. It wasn't a memory, just a clarity that said, oh, this is how I felt when my little sister was born. Because it was just like, Mom was giving her all the love and attention that I used to get. I guess I wasn't enough. I guess I was inadequate. I just sat with that. I didn't argue with it. I didn't justify it. I just sat with myself there. It's just like being here. It's like, oh, yeah, I can see why I would feel that way. That's interesting. And about 5, 6, 7 minutes later, this other option popped in my head, and it said, hey, what if that's how she responded to you when you were born? And then my mind looked at how my mother had responded to my little brother and my other little sister. And it was the same way. So I'm the oldest. And I got to see that pattern. And rather than interpret it now as, oh, this happens because I was inadequate, this happens because this is how she loves her kids. This is what it was like for her to have her kids. And it is gently opening my heart. Because this is a new thing. Like this happened the last 24 hours. So it's an emergent process for me. But it is interesting the conclusions we make based on the experiences we have. And how often those conclusions make sense from the point of view of the aspect of self that's going through it. You know, a little self that when I was 18 months or 2, you know. Okay. But as the adult, I can bring in more information and help these internal parts of myself see and experience a different reality. So root conclusion work is a little more complex than that. Like this is a portion of that I am inadequate root conclusion that is changing and healing. And now the other aspects have to deal with performance. You have to deal with showing up in certain ways. And I grew up in a high demand religion, high control religion, a family unit that was very narcissistic. So the wounding there is important. But this shift was very interesting to me to see how it has helped bring light and warmth to the heart. So I wanted to share that because I do this process with you guys. I'm not a dude that's, I've transcended codependency. It's more like this is an ongoing process of self-discovery and who we are beyond that codependency. So, yeah, that's where that's at. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you gain out of it. If you got questions. And I teach this in my Heal and Grow system for root conclusion clearing, and you can check that out on my website. Links above. But go gently, guys. See you in the next episode.